Hello, this is a demo of the first little bits of Anaconda mode for cockpit storage. And there's not really Anaconda here in this demo, it's just a special version of the storage page that I want to show. And this is targeted at the Anaconda guys, actually, to get the discussion starting and to see where we are and how we can interface. So this is the normal storage page. I would like to point out there's a volume group here. You can also see it here, and it actually has my root file system on it. So that's a standard Fedora installation. There's a boot partition here on one partition on this main virtual disk of the virtual machine. So this is how it would look if you would start Cockpit normally and point it at this machine. And now we will activate this Anaconda mode. We do that here in the terminal. And I have done it now so that it's all configured in the manifest of the storage page, whatever that is. And that's, of course, completely up for discussion how we put Cockpit into this Anaconda mode and how we do the configuration, etc. But we have now here this override, which is currently switched off because it has the JS off extension, of course. And it looks like this. Just some JSON blob that gets handed into the storage page, and I have here configured the mount point prefix, which is where Anaconda will install the new operating system. I don't know if that's what Anaconda uses, but you can put the right value here. And then also a list of devices that should be ignored. The original idea was that somehow we figure out from looking at whatever is not mounted under sysroot which devices should be ignored, but I guess that's just a bit too hairy and too complicated and too much code. So I guess it's hopefully acceptable to have an explicit list of things to ignore. This is, of course, the main drive of the virtual machine, and this is the volume group. And it actually does appear in the dev directory, so that should work. And let's activate this by switching it on. Oh my god. So, and now we go to the storage page and reload it. And then the new manifest will be active. Let's see how the page looks. So now you see the volume group has disappeared, all the file systems have disappeared, and this VDA drive has also disappeared. All that is left in the UI are these 3 block devices that contain nothing right now, I think. I'm not sure. So, and we would also probably remove the plots here and replace them with something else. Maybe we don't have the storage locks, little things can easily be customized. So let's create a root file system, or let's make it, let's just create a root file system. On this one here, dev SDA, create a partition table. And I guess we start with the root file system. Mount point like this. XFS is good. No encryption. And we create and mount it. That's already interesting. I have to start with the root partition because if we actually mount it and we are now creating the next one, let's say now we create boot, then the root one, of course, has to be mounted already. So I don't know what we use here, X4, let's not encrypt it, and create and mount it. So and Cockpit lets us do this in a living and happy virtual machine, which already has a root file system, because behind the scenes, this root thing gets turned into the sys root because of the mount point prefix. If we now look here at the FS stub, we have entries for sysroot and for sysroot boot with the UUIDs, and and the idea is that Anaconda would read FS stub and figure this out and use it for its own mount point mapping. It would also look at the options here, I guess, and everything else that is necessary. Yeah. And now you could exit Cockpit, go back to Anaconda, and I think that's it. That's it already. Cockpit is not good at overlapping mounts, so I think if I unmount this now, then it probably works. I don't know. It doesn't understand that boot is part of it. So I think in general we would have to improve Cockpit's handling of mounts inside other mounts, nested mounts, and which don't seem to be a problem normally, but of course when you create a new root file system, etc., then you will run into this all the time. Or we could say that in Anaconda mode, Cockpit will not ever let you actually mount the file system, it just creates it, and there will be no actions to actually mount it. Maybe that's easier and sufficient. Yo, what else? I mean, Cockpit supports a whole host of things. For example, we can now quickly delete these things again. Maybe just put a partition table on it again. And now we could, for example, make a Stratus pool out of this other one and encrypt it with a tank server. Do I have one? I don't know. Let's try. And yeah, it's running, and of course I trust everything. So now we have an encrypted Stratus pool with Tang, and we are going to put our root file system into it. Once it finishes, here's the pool, root file system. Well, that should probably be a different default, and now I need to set a name, and now we just create it. And let's see how FSNAP now looks. Now you have the sysroot here, and also just a UUID, and Anaconda would have to figure out from this that that's actually a Stratus pool, and do whatever is necessary to initialize that in the init.rd. Or we have to disable that in Cockpit. Yeah. Okay. I think that's it. Let's see where we go from here, and thanks a lot.